it is Saturday, February 12th, 2022. I'm Chris Remo, and welcome back to the New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. It is a Saturday puzzle today, so very possible the trickiest puzzle of the week, and I found yesterday's puzzle fairly tricky, so we'll see how this one turns out. I don't see any grid-spanning answers in this crossword, so at least I don't have those to contend with. And I would like to thank a few people for bringing us this edition of the Daily Solve. So thank you to a new benefactor of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign, Henrik Koskinen. So welcome, Henrik, and thank you. As well as Resmi and, as always, the inestimable Hood Monster. So thank you to the three of them, benefactors of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign. You can join their ranks as a benefactor and get access to this recognition as well as the Daily Solve Let's Check the Crosses mug by going to patreon.com/dailysolve. And thank you to everybody who has backed the Patreon campaign at any level. That gets you access to to all of the bonus video solves up on the Patreon feed that have been released to date, as well as the new ones that go up each week. And this week, yesterday, there was a particularly ridiculous one as I recorded the week of mini puzzle speed solves and completely I didn't record any video for it because it's not worth explaining why, but there was a mistake in the recording. Didn't record I recorded video of myself, but not of the crossword. So there was just a blank space alongside my narration. And so I re-recorded video of myself, essentially pantomime solving these crosswords alongside the audio that had been recorded, which was ridiculous. So anyway, if you're a Patreon subscriber, you can see me do that. It's sort of the opposite of what I did on the main feed a few weeks ago when I didn't record the audio and had to re-record narration. This was the reverse. So now I've had both versions of that incredibly ridiculous and time-wasting on my part mistake. So enjoy that. Anyway, let's get on to today's crossword. Do remain till the end of the video if you'd like to see some discussion about yesterday's clues. But for now, we're going to solve the Saturday New York Times crossword. This was constructed by Mary Lou Cuizzo, certainly a name I recognize. She has constructed several dozen New York Times crosswords, and it was edited, as always, by Will Shorts. So, with that, let's get started. Fast food order. So it could mean, obviously, an order at a fast food restaurant, but it could also conceivably mean a food order that itself is fast. Not sure. Balderdash. Nonsense? I don't know. There are probably several things that would fit here, but let's just see if this one helps. Comic relief role in Tarzan. Oh, I have no idea at all. Sorry about that. 1970 music documentary that won an Oscar for Best Original Score. Oh, that's interesting. But I don't know the answer. 8. Hard wood. N doesn't seem great there to me. 9. Goes for the gold. Question mark. Yeah, and I'm not very confident about nonsense. I mean, goes for the gold with a question mark. The question mark makes this some kind of pun or wordplay. It could be pans for gold, as a prospector might. Yeah. It probably won't be goes for gold as in vies for a gold medal in the Olympics or something like that because of that question mark, indicating that we're not meant to read this with the surface reading. 10 down, what comes before the fall? Well, again, the most obvious reading here would be pride. Pride comes before the fall. But with that question mark, something else is going on, some kind of wordplay. What comes before the fall? I don't know. A trip? You trip before you fall? Could it be fall as in autumn? I can't think what would come before. I don't know. July? No, because August is still. I don't know. Features of many season premieres. Recaps, maybe? So maybe this means recapping a previous, events from earlier in the television series. That seems plausible enough. Let's check some crosses here. Famille member. So this is family in French. So it could be papa or père, actually. Père for father. You could say papa as well in French. But I suppose père would be the more, probably more likely. Great man. Great in question marks. Sorry, question marks. Great in quotation marks. Great man. Peter the Great? Stomach. So this could be a verb or a noun. You could stomach something, or you could stomach it by putting it in your stomach. A zither relative. Maybe this is a lyre, another musical instrument, stringed instrument in this case. Actor James of The Blacklist. Never seen The Blacklist. Goes for the gold. Probably does end with an S. James Slater? Is that someone? Christian Slater. James Spader, maybe? Is that someone? I think that is someone. Let's see if that works. Stomach. Abide. Yes. I cannot stomach this. I cannot abide it. So I felt about that puzzle yesterday on occasion. Let's see. Oh, yeah, maybe this is Peter, actually. City. Yeah, I bet it is. Bit of census data. It does look like an appropriate ending, but I'm not sure what it is yet. So if this were Peter the Great, balderdash, something trap, what comes before the fall? Maybe that is trip. Look at that. Let's try it and see. 1962 #1 hit for the Crystals, featuring a biker on the record sleeve. He's a rebel? Goes for the gold. Maybe it is Pans. Oh, and the bit of census data could be ethnicity. That looks right. Hardwood. Oh, ash. Ash must be a hardwood. That does sound right, actually. And balderdash is claptrap. There we go. That's so funny. I could think of the trap part. And I thought, this really sounds like the end of something that means nonsense, balderdash. But I know it's something trap, but I just couldn't think what it was. And it is claptrap. So here we have comic relief role in Tarzan. I still don't think I'm going to know what this is. Yeah, I'm not going to know it until it's either completed with crosses or so full that the answer is self-evident. Oh, 1970 music documentary that won an Oscar for Best Original Score. Is this Let It Be? The Beatles film, the original Beatles film, Let It Be, directed by Sir Michael Lindsay Hall, that was, whose sort of copious outtakes were assembled to produce the new Let It Be by Peter Jackson. Was a new one called Let It Be as well? How do I not remember this? I just watched it right after it came out. It was incredible. I mean, it's very shaggy. It just goes on and on and on. It's just, but it's brilliantly assembled. They did an incredible job getting this sort of assembling this footage into something that is a watchable portrayal of the events, and it really is incredible. If you enjoy the Beatles, if not, it would probably get a little tedious. But I thought it was extraordinary. I thought it was absolutely incredible. Anyway, steamed source of stimulation. Steamed source of simulation. I don't really know what that's suggesting. Blank hulu manu, feathery adornment. I don't know. Is this a form of lay? I'm not sure. Flatter effusively. Lay it on, maybe? I'm sort of speculating on top of a speculation here with lay, so I need to remember that I'm not totally confident about these, but I'm going to fill them in and see if they add up to anything. Steam source of simulation. What is this? Voting rights activist who founded Fair Fight Action. Hopefully this is obvious with some more crosses. And what about here? Facility. Could be ease. If one has a facility and ease around crosswords, which doesn't feel like I do right this moment. Modern and classical periods are eras. Oops. Antithesis of a hedonist. So a hedonist, someone who is, essentially self-indulgent. So what, an aesthete maybe, or an aesthetic? That's what I'm looking for. Yes, aesthete is not really the same thing. An aesthete could be a hedonist, really, but an ascetic, not so much. Someone who lives with, so I suppose, who governs themselves and their self-restraint quite strictly. Maybe you'd call them. All right. What about this? A miser. I don't know. I wonder if we could say a Scrooge here, which has been obviously Scrooge is a named character from A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, but it sort of entered the lexicon as I think, as a word that essentially means a miser, someone who is miserly. Yeah, that might work because ashram sounds could be ohms. You could have the ohm chant in an ashram, heard from an ashram, people practicing, you know. Who's this? Blank James, the so-called king of the slide guitar. I don't know that I know this name. What was this again? Noted spelling expert. Noted spelling expert. Is there something this could mean other than spelling words with letters? I'm not sure. Oh, this must be Stacey Abrams. Voting rights activist who founded Fair Fight Action. That must be Stacey Abrams. And then what do we have here? Comic relief role in Tarzan. Is it Cheetah? That occurred to me earlier, but wouldn't there be an H on the end of Cheetah? Sorry, I'm going to... Isn't that how you spell Cheetah? Is this... Maybe it's not Cheetah, or maybe it's a character name as opposed to the name of the animal. I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, I suppose it must be, because a steamed source of stimulation could therefore be latte with steamed milk. Okay, so that looks all right, actually. Italian for tied together. I wonder if this is legato, which is a term used in music to indicate that there's a symbol for legato that's placed over notes, and those notes are then meant to be played smoothly together as possible. So a seamless transition from one note to the next, as opposed to, for instance, staccato, where each note is an individual strike that's very distinct. Anyway, I don't know if that's the answer, but it would be fitting if that's what that meant. Russian dumplings. They could be pierogi. I think there are quite a few spellings of this in its sort of, Romanized form as opposed to its original Cyrillic. But I think this is a valid spelling. Parent of a signet. It's a swan. What is a? I can't think of what the word for the swan is. That is driving me absolutely bonkers. And I have two of the three letters. That is infuriating. Where an athlete might dunk. Where an athlete might dunk. Is that referring to dunking in basketball? I guess I still don't know if legato is correct. And actually, I guess Laodon must have ended up being right. A sculpture of a three-legged one is considered lucky in feng shui. I don't know, feng shui. A toad, maybe? Interesting, I didn't know that. Not fancy in the least. So my first thought reading this, probably as most people's would be, is that fancy would mean sort of elaborate or impressive or, ornate or something. But I think in this case it means, I think it's being used as a verb, to not fancy in the least, to not like in the least, maybe, to hate something. I don't fancy it, I hate it. I don't fancy it in the least. So maybe that's what that is. You have to look at the bigger picture. Don't something? Seems like that would be don't something. Let's see if that D goes anywhere. 3-beat gait. 3-beat gait. So is this referring to maybe a horse's gait that has sort of a triplet rhythm to it? Ba-da-da, ba-da-da, ba-da-da. I'm not sure. And if if it is what it is, I probably don't know that word very well. NBA great Baylor. I don't have any idea. This will be a basketball player, obviously, but I do not know who it is. Fast food chain with the slogan, unfreshing believable. It's a strange slogan. Is that suggesting their food is unfresh? I mean, obviously not, but that's sort of how it looks. Unfresh, believable. I have no idea. I don't think I've ever heard that before. What about this? Oh, noted spelling expert. Right. What is this? Noted spelling expert. Is there another meaning for spelling here? As in maybe magic spells? You'd think that would have a question mark to make it a pun, because that wouldn't be standard usage of spelling, I don't think. I was doing pretty well for a moment there, and now I've sort of hit a wall. Focus of literary agents. Novelists, perhaps? Yes, a literary agent might represent a novelist. This doesn't look great, though. We'll have to see. Let's keep an eye on this. This all could be wrong. Some undergraduate degrees. This doesn't look right either, really. Yeah, it probably starts with B for bachelor, I would think. Could be a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Sciences. With that G there, it looks more like BA, Bachelor of Arts. Obliging. This feels like a word that I should have at the top of my head and can't bring to mind as well. That feeling is infuriating. Focus of oh no, I meant to go here. Later, see you or later, see, could be see you or see ya, something depending on how slangy this ends up being. It probably has a Y there for you or ya. Goddess in Latin. I am not sure. What about this? You have to look at the bigger picture. Don't be, no, neither of those look good with that D. Don't. Central square, perhaps. Central square, perhaps. Central square. Oh, tick as in tic-tac-toe, perhaps? Or tack, it would have to be tack. It couldn't be tick, right? If it were the second in tic-tac-toe or noughts and crosses, the second, the central square would always be the second of three in the winning row or diagonal. So it would be the second. I guess that's tack. Is that what those are? Do we refer to them as tick and tack and toe? I have no idea. But that seems more plausible. So fast food chain. What is this? What are some fast food chains that fit here? I just don't know. An annual event with ski slope style and skate. Excuse me, sorry, that was a utterly sudden and relentless sneeze. I had no ability to hold it off. Annual event with ski slope style and skateboard vert. Oh, the X Games, probably. The Extreme Games. Oh. Maybe this isn't what is this with an X here? This doesn't look right at all. Baylor Elgin, maybe? That looks like a name. Oh, maybe this is spelling. Noted spelling expert. Maybe this is a magician. Merlin, King Arthur's magician. That's so interesting. I really would have thought that would have required a question mark. I mean, I could see this without a question mark on a Saturday, but there were other examples in this puzzle, like what comes before the fall. I mean, this looks more literal to me. A trip comes before the fall. That looks more literal than using spelling to mean casting magic spells. But yeah, fair enough. So is this Elmore James, maybe? That looks right. Focus of literary agents. Book deals. What on earth is this? You have to look at the big... Is this X Games? I mean, it has to be. The X Games, the Extreme Games, it certainly would have events like ski slope style and skateboard vert. That just seems like it must be. You have to look at the bigger picture. What am I missing here? Maybe that's not C later. It's got to be. Sorry about this. What else can I find here to help? Starters for short. Maybe apps, appetizers. That was related to a recent clue as well. Group whose logo is a mirror ambigram. So an ambigram is a form of written language, a form of calligraphy essentially, in which you can illustrate a word such that when you rotate it or reflect it in a mirror, for instance, it spells either the same word or a different word, but it spells something valid as well. Oh, I guess it's ABBA. So this is a case where you don't even need to do anything. Oh, but their logo has the backwards B. That's right. Yes. So they have made it an anagram because it is, in this case, it works the same in either reflection. Okay, it's found at the bottom of the food pyramid. Bread, a grain. The grains are at the bottom of the food pyramid. Language family of Swahili or Zulu. Is it Bantu, I believe? Is that language family? And Dodge SUVs. Is it dungarees? No, that's the jeans. I'm not sure. Dodge, what? I don't know. Condiment made with peanuts. Satay sauce? I thought it was spelled this way, though. I'm thinking of the peanut satay sauce that's, with chicken often. It doesn't seem to fit. Maybe, Wicca symbol could be a pentagram, witchcraft. Cavort could be to prance. You could vort around, prance around. 2011 Pulitzer winner Jennifer Egan, I think, for a visit from the Goon Squad. And Blanc Mila, landmark building in Barcelona. Oh, I'm not sure. Offhand, what about this? Word after throw or scatter. Throw rug or scatter rug? Oh, Dodge SUVs Durangos, maybe? How about that? Does that look right? I think so. Oh, maybe this is Casa, landmark building in Barcelona. That would make sense. Casa Mila, landmark building in Barcelona. That looks right. Oh, I guess this is satay sauce. Okay, so I suppose it can be spelled this way. I don't think I realized that. What about this? 3-beat gate. Oh, it must be a canter. I mean, I recognize that as... Oh, now I see what this is. Sorry. Anyway, 3-beat gate canter. So I do recognize that as a horse gate. So that must be what that is. And you have to look at the bigger picture. Is context is key. And that is an incredibly appropriate clue for me to finally answer after all of that, because I needed that context from all of these additional crosses. Context is indeed key in the crossword, as in life and everything. So fast food chain with the slogan unfreshing believable must be Del Taco. Okay, I have heard of Del Taco, but I had no idea that was their slogan. And NBA great Baylor Elgin. I don't even know if it's Baylor Elgin or Elgin Baylor, but it's one of those. One of those is an NBA great. And obliging. Oh, agreeable. Sorry, that is the word I was trying to think of earlier and somehow couldn't. I was thinking there's definitely an adjective form of agree that refers to a person who is obliging, and I just could not bring it to mind. It is the strangest thing when that happens. Later. So goddess Latin. So that's probably going to end with an A, right? Dea, as opposed to Deo, and then, or Day, and then later would be, so I'm thinking anyway, that makes the C-O rather than C-U. Because O would seem masculine to me. So, though commonly known as vegetables, botanically they are a fruit. Oh, is it peas? It says they, so this is plural as opposed to singular. So it looks like peas to me. Spa offering. Could be a peel. That's a thing that happens at spas, right? Some kind of skin peel. See you soon. Later. See you soon. That looks pretty plausible. Pal of Kent and Lane. This must be Superman related, right? Clark Kent and Lois Lane. I mean, this looks like Olsen to me. I couldn't really see what else it would be. Aromatic noodle soup. Could be pho. And does that work here? 2-time Grammy winner Bryson. Peebo Bryson or Bryson Peebo. I'm actually not sure about this person either. And then conversation starter is hello. That's fairly confident about that one at least. And everything else here I think looks correct. So all right, we've finally dug ourselves out of this hole down there. So now let's finish off the puzzle. where an athlete might dunk. Oh, a cob, a swan, a cob, right? That's got to be it. I'm sure that's it. Why did that take me so long? Parent of a cygnet, cob. I'm pretty sure that's right. Does that help here? Where an athlete might dunk. A bath. So why is it? What makes it an athlete in particular? I have no idea. What kind of bath would an athlete dunk in? Oh, an ice bath, maybe? Is that something? Figure skating move based on the arabesque in ballet. Could be some kind of spin with that ice bath. And here, an organization tracking metadata, the National Security Administration. I think that was part of the Snowden revelations years ago, that the NSA tracked metadata information in communication. Theatrically exaggerated behavior. Well, the ending with tics certainly works. I mean, antics, for instance, but that's obviously not long enough. Population calculation scope. A metro area, maybe? Often you will calculate population of a metro area rather than just strict city limits of a major city. You'll expand it out. People with a language of the same name. Lao. That's funny. That's come up just the other day as well. And slips. Could be errors, makes a mistake. I should have done this section first. These seem pretty straightforward. Rock genre could be metal, metal music, heavy metal. Making of an impression, question mark. And what was this again? Figure skating move based on the arabesque in ballet. Oh, is this a camel spin maybe? It sort of sounds familiar. I don't know much about figure skating. I wonder. I don't know. Maybe I should delete it. Fast food order. Fast food order. Oh, a combo maybe. So maybe it is just a straightforward, it's an order at a fast food restaurant. It's a combo meal. So that would allow that to be camel. And theatrically exaggerated behavior, operatics. That looks right. I see you're being sort of almost operatic in your scale of your theatrical exaggeration. And coupe products. What is that? Bras. Oh, cup. I bet that looks like a sort of modern, I don't know, the way that things are named now, where you take one word and just sort of add or remove a letter from it, and that's a brand name. So cup would fit with bras. So I bet that's correct. And making of an impression. Apery. I see. So you're aping. It's a question mark. So there's another bit of wordplay here. Apery, the performance of an impression, an imitation. And here we have olive oil, and in this case, the character from Popeye. And there it is. So I think I did that in a relatively similar time frame to yesterday's crossword, the Friday. I think the Friday took me, I'm just going to check. Let's see. Yeah, yesterday's took me almost 28 minutes. So today's Saturday, I think, was smoother for me than yesterday's Friday. And that just happens. No real accounting for that, how it goes sometimes. I definitely found this one easier, I think. I did get stuck. This word really threw me for a while. Context is key. I wish I would have gotten that earlier. I should have thought harder about what sorts of words could contain these contiguous X and T's, because obviously that happened. I mean, there are a number of cases where that happens, but I just couldn't somehow broaden it out to a full phrase. Was there anything else that individually really baffled me? I don't think so. I think there was resistance through the puzzle generally, but I think this is the one clue I can remember really giving me a challenge unto itself. Yeah, a good solid themeless puzzle. Very different to yesterday's. Very, very, very different to yesterday's themeless puzzle. It's a good pair of puzzles to remind us that even without a theme, to give the puzzle a very clear, easy to describe identity, you can still have a very different style in different themeless puzzles. This was quite different to yesterday's. But I enjoyed it. I hope you did as well. And now, why don't we discuss a few clues from yesterday's puzzle? How about that? So one of the things someone pointed out, I'd wondered about yesterday's puzzle because it had what, is it 4 or 6 of those grid spanning. It had 6 of those full grid spanning answers. And I wonder how many of these are debut answers. And someone pointed out, David C. Duncan Decker pointed out, in the following link, when you scroll down to the clue answer section, the ones in red are the debut entries you were wondering about. And David linked to the X word info page for yesterday's crossword. And indeed, on that answer page, it lists all of the clues and all of the correct answers to the crossword. And in red are the debuts. So yesterday's debuts were Ye of Little Faith, Is Nothing Sacred, and actually Gerhard. So I'm not very surprised by Ye of Little Faith and Is Nothing Sacred, because those require a complete uninterrupted row or column of a crossword grid and their phrases. And phrases are always less likely to have been used before because they're longer. They're not, they're combinations of words. You could have Ye of Little Faith or Oh Ye of Little Faith in a Sunday crossword, maybe, if you had a bit more room, and then that would make either one of those separate. I am more surprised about Gerhard. There was no one of that name, or at least no one of that name spelled that way, because that name could be spelled a couple of different ways. Had never appeared in the crossword before. So there we have it. Anyway, let's discuss some other clues. I'm sure there are plenty of things that I got utterly wrong that need to be corrected. So Rahul Shah says, you're right that I guess this is something I got right. You're right that Elizabeth Tower is one of the names used to describe the tower housing Big Ben. It was renamed in honor of Liz's Diamond Jubilee in 2012. I think most people still would call it the Clock Tower when they aren't making the common mistake of calling it Big Ben. So thank you, Rahul. I think I was skeptical of my memory about Elizabeth Tower, but it turns out I should not have been in that case. James Andrews said, as a classical musician, I don't ever recall seeing lentando in a musical score, though it is indeed correct. The vast majority of times, if the indication is Italian, you see rallentando or ritardando. And yes, I agree. Lentando wasn't particularly familiar to me. I am most familiar with ritardando, and I think I said that. I think I said that aloud, I think, when I was trying to answer that clue, because that was the thing with which I'm most familiar. Kathy Swope explains that Telecommunications Incorporated, TCI, was a cable television provider in the United States. It was the largest cable operator in the United States at one time. So thank you. I didn't know. That was an answer to a clue about a one-time cable provider acquired by AT&T, I believe. And the answer is TCI. I didn't know what that was. Now I do. Chasmart explains that a confection is defined as a dish or delicacy made with sweet ingredients. So by that definition, a confection is an incredibly broad category that doesn't fit to my entirely invented classification of something that could be reasonably sold in a baker's cabinet, a sort of baker's display cabinet in a bakery of some kind. And I still find it strange to call an icy, which is a blended ice drink that comes out of a dispenser through a nozzle, as a confection. I just think that's strange because it's an arbitrary amount of it that gets poured out into a thing. I think of a confection as something that someone has made discreetly. And I guess I'm wrong, but that's just how it feels in my brain. So thank you, ChatSmart. David C. Duncan Decker says, oh no, sorry, that was the thing about the debut clues. All right, so actually not too many corrections today. So some more interesting context around some of those. And that's that. That's that for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for sticking around until the end. I appreciate it. And please do subscribe. If you've made it this far, you must be enjoying something about this. So do subscribe to the channel. I would appreciate it. And if you know someone who might like this series or channel, pass it along to them as well. If you got here through the Wordle Daily Shorts, well, welcome. I hope you're enjoying these crossword videos as well. And I will be back tomorrow for the Sunday crossword, the big, long Sunday crossword. Lots to solve, but probably not as difficult as today's or yesterday's for that matter. Kind of a Wednesday, Thursday-ish difficulty, I think. It's generally how I peg the Sunday crossword. Anyway, I hope you'll be back for that. And don't forget, I forgot to mention at the beginning of today's video, the Daily Solve Discord chat server. I've been noticing there's a huge amount of activity going on in the Constructor's Corner channel there. I think someone might have constructed a cryptic crossword. I'm not reading it in too much detail because I don't want to be spoiled for anything when I do my own solve of the most recent community-created crosswords. But if you would like to solve some of these yourself before my video comes out so you can see my solve in contrast to yours, that's in the Constructor's Corner channel in the Daily Solve Discord chat server. There's a link in the description field underneath the video. And of course, if you are a Patreon backer, you get an additional channel in there. Anyway, that's all. I'll be back tomorrow for the Sunday puzzle. I hope you'll join me. Until that point, please do have an excellent remainder of your Saturday. Take care.